following the developing story out of Fairfax County, where administrators are looking into the possibility of putting cameras in high schools. For the very latest, let's head out there to our Daniel Miller, who's standing by, waiting for this school board meeting to get underway. Daniel?
That's right, Alisa. The school board meeting is going to take place any minute, and it's really in response to a rash of cafeteria food fights that have occurred. And the reason this is going on is because the school board wants to install cameras. Because the last time the food fight occurred, there were a bunch of injuries that occurred to teachers as well as students. So it's been out of control, and the school board wants to try to put an end to these food fights, and they think the best way to do this is to install these surveillance cameras. Now, I spoke to one of the principals earlier who said that it's going to possibly cost $885,000 to install these cameras, and they're either going to be placed in hotspots in schools as well as cafeterias to try to combat these actions. The last time the school had these food fights, they were unable to catch the culprits involved, but they're still in the process of doing this, and they think that, by doing this, the cameras will combat any further fights. 17 out of the 25 schools. Okay.
Back to
it's
you.
over?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, back to you, Lisa.
Fairfax County is looking at making a major change in the schools there, and for the latest on what's happening, we're going to turn to our Allie Brennan, who is live in Fairfax County outside a school board meeting that's set to be held. Allie, what's going on?
That's right, Alisa. The school board has a decision to make. They're outgoing, and they have to decide whether or not to vote to include surveillance cameras in classrooms and in schools. Lee High School's principal, Abe Jeffers, has been leading a push for principals who want to install surveillance cameras in the schools after a rash of food fights last year left to students and teachers injured, and the culprits were never actually caught. The cameras are estimated to cost in between almost $900,000 and $3 million, depending on when, where and how many are installed. Now, parent groups, with the exception of Annandale High School and Langley High School, have all put their support behind the surveillance cameras. Jeffers says, when I spoke with him earlier, that he thinks the surveillance cameras are a non-issue, but people and parent groups are trying to make them an issue. The opponents of the cameras believe that it's a big brother, it's going to give a big brother feel to the high schools. The county meets tonight, and we'll be sure to update you on the school board's decision. Live from Fairfax County, this is Allie Brennan.
We're following some breaking news out of Fairfax County. Will they or will they not install cameras in high schools there? The school board is meeting to take up the issue. For the very latest, we go live to Ivan and Tividad, who is there. What's going on there, Ivan?
Hi, Alyssa. Thank you so much. So basically there's been a series of a lot of food fights going on in a lot of the public schools in the county. And what's going on is principals are going to the school board again to request that there be another vote to possibly install some cameras into the public schools. Out of the 25 schools that have been that are in the county, a poll was given, and the county schools have weighed in, and a majority of 17 of the schools have actually supported putting these cameras in. In the past, there's been issues with privacy, and different county residents believing that that these cameras would be invading students' privacies as well as teachers. And but after injuries that have occurred recently in these schools because of these food fights, they've been changing their minds. And is that it? Wait. All right. But yeah, these installments might cost up to $885,000, and the board is looking to either vote on this or pass the buck to the next school board, and that is the latest here. Thank you. All right.
Surveillance cameras might be installed in some Fairfax County schools. The school board out there is taking a look at that issue, and they're meeting on it. In fact, it's going to be part of their school board meeting. For the very latest, we're going to go live to Stephanie Melson, who is outside the meeting. What's the the latest out there, Stephanie?
Well, the latest today is we're really expecting a vote on this controversy. The school board members are really feeling the heat today to make a decision. Leading that charge to get a vote has been the Lee High School principal, who has gotten also the majority of his support from PTA members throughout Fairfax County. Again, the school board will take up that issue today. Since they last met, that goes again. Now, the principal of Lee High School, again, as I said, has been leading the charge. That goes against the prior policies that Fairfax County had in place regarding cameras. Before these food fights happened in the spring, as we reported, they really didn't want cameras in the schools. They were worried that they would infringe on student privacy, and that was a concern. But then again, those fights happened, and as we reported, so many students were injured, and teachers included. And they were not able to find out who was behind those fights, so security came into play, and now the majority of those in this conversation here want to have those cameras in place. Now, retiring board member Tina Home has been objecting this. We'll hear more from her tonight. And of course, the other part of this is money. How much is this going to cost? School board officials back in September had told us it could be up to $3 million to get those cameras into schools. Of course, that didn't go over very well when we're talking budget cuts. So just recently, principals tell us it could be closer to $800,000. Again, we'll have the vote tonight. Back to you in the studio.
We're following some news out of Fairfax County. Will your students who go to the schools in Fairfax County have their pictures taken on new cameras that are going to be posted around the different high schools? It's something the school board out there is looking at for the latest. We're going to go live to our Brian Neal. He's been following it. McNeil?
Yes.
Our Brian McNeil is out there. What is going on with this possible vote tonight, Brian?
Thank you, Alisa. Fairfax principals are appealing to the school board Monday to request permission to install cameras inside local schools. The current school board, whose term is due to expire soon, will soon vote on the measure. The last effort by the principals was unsuccessful, though this time they have the support of a majority of high school parents, teachers associations. This support is crucial to the current effort. Principal Lee Jeffers of Lee High School and a supporter of the bid to have the cameras installed says that it is a non-issue that people want to make an issue of. His view is opposed by retiring board member Tina Hone, who questions the way that parents' reactions were gathered, implying that the effort was biased. In the past, cameras were rejected by the Fairfax County School District out of privacy concerns. Earlier this year, there was a food fight in which some people were hurt, but this is not suspected to be the primary reason for why these cameras are needed. Back to you, Alisa.
We're following a story out of Fairfax County involving whether or not cameras will be posted in high schools throughout that massive county. For the very latest, we're going to go to our Ariel Hickson, who is covering it, and she joins us now live. Ariel, what's going on?
Thank you, Lisa. Well, the big debate here is the problem with surveillance cameras being an invasion of privacy or having a huge Big Brother kind of issue running around the school. You see, this came from last spring where there was a large food fight in which some individuals were injured, including teachers, and ambulances were actually rushed to the scene. So as of now, the PTA is having a huge discussion about this, and actually parents might have a large influence on whether this will be passed. One of the principals who actually supports this decision is trying to rush this to the cause. And this installation of cameras might actually cost over $800,000, which may be an issue for some individuals, but also there will be safety concerns that will not be an issue or a problem. This is Ariel Hickson. Back to you, Alyssa.
Should there be cameras posted in high schools across Fairfax County? That's an issue the school board there is considering. For the very latest, we're going to go live to our Anastasia Hines, who is reporting from outside the school board meeting. What's the very latest?
Thanks, Alisa. Tonight's school board meeting may end a year-long debate over allowing Big Brother into high schools across Fairfax County. Board members will choose to cast what is sure to be a controversial vote or leave the decision to the next school board. While Fairfax has long opposed the cameras to avoid a Big Brother feel, a rash of food fights last spring left students knocked to the ground and teachers hurt. The culprits have not been caught, and principals across the county have called for action, pulling their PTA boards with a majority calling for the cameras to be installed. Original estimates for the project were put at $3 million, but documents now are stating that cafeteria and hotspot cameras will be an estimated $885,000, significantly less. Right now, they're getting ready to start the meeting, and we'll have more later today. Back to you.
We're following a story out of Fairfax County. Should students be under surveillance with new cameras that could be posted in high schools there? The school board is taking up the issue. We're going to go live now to Luis Verdi, who is following it. What's going on out there, Luis?
Hi, Lisa. As you mentioned, Fairfax principals will discuss Monday their request to install surveillance cameras in schools. This comes after a rash of food fights. Kids were knocked. Let's remember, we did the story last week. Kids were knocked to the ground and hit with flying water bottles. And the principals complained no culprits were caught. This time, though, they have support from the majority of high school PTAs. So this can actually become true. I talked to Principal Abe Jeffers of Lee High School, who has been leading the initiative, and he said the school board should go ahead and vote on it now. Let's remember, Fairfax County has rejected the measure because it says it could invade a student's privacy. Now, the price. Let's remember, this is budget. It could go up to $1 million. The figure is almost $800,000. I'm sorry, $800,000. So this could actually hurt the school budget. Alisa, let's remember this is going to happen on Monday. So for any of you kids that are watching, you won't be safe by the bell. Just remember that. Luis Velarde from Fairfax County.
Okay. Fairfax County school officials are looking into whether or not cameras should be posted in high schools across that county. It's something that they're talking about tonight, and live outside their meeting is Melanie Sanpietro. She joins us live. What are we looking at tonight? What's going on?
Hi, Alisa. Thanks. Just a quick recap. Last spring, Fairfax County schools faced an unprecedented food fight epidemic, and it wasn't pretty. High-velocity water bottles knocked kids to the ground. Teachers were injured in the crossfire. Even ambulances were called in the most severe cases. But the culprits who instigated the culinary assaults are still at large. The solution? Fairfax principals are headed to the school board as we speak to request surveillance cameras be installed in their schools, which would cost an estimated $885,000. Of the 25 schools in contention, the majority support the installation of the cameras. However, others think that this would be a gross invasion of privacy for high school students. How many meatballs must fly? How many meatballs of mass destruction must fly before a solution is implemented? We will find out tonight. Thanks, and back to you.
Should there be cameras in Fairfax County in the schools there? That's something that the principals of some high schools are trying to push for. The school board is taking up the issue. For the very latest, we're going to go live to Sudeep Bhattacharya, who is following it. Oh, no. Sudeep, please tell us what's going on.
Well, after a rash of food fights where ambulances in some cases were called in, Fairfax principals they requested to have surveillance cameras installed in the schools. In previous years, Fairfax has been known to oppose such decisions because they feel it's too big brother-ish. But this year, the Fairfax principals feel they have the support of the local PTAs. I talked to a gentleman named Principal Ab Jeffers of Lehigh High School. He told me that the vote should go on because it's a non-issue. He told me that there's a silent majority, which includes 17 of the 25 schools, which are in favor. But 2 of those schools, which are alternative schools, don't even have PTAs. And there have also been schools like Annandale, which oppose the decision. Tim Hone, who's a board member, told me she's concerned with how the opinions for the parents were even gathered, because she feels that the opinion wasn't objective since Lobby's principals were openly advocating and clearly advocating for a strict position. And she's worried that, basically the decision isn't actually done by the PTA, as some of these principals claim. The prices itself is, well, first it was estimated to be $120,000, but now the price has jumped to $885,000. So I think that I don't think the issue will be decided tonight. We'll just have to keep posted on the story. This is Sudeep Bhattacharya reporting from Fairfax. Thank you, Alyssa.
Okay. We're following a story out of Fairfax County involving cameras in schools, high schools specifically. Live outside of the school board meeting is our Mona Magada Mona.
Oh.
She joins us with the very latest. What's going on out there, Mona?
Thanks, Alisa. Well, basically what's happening right now is school officials are getting ready to vote on whether or not they should install surveillance cameras in local high schools. What happened was, after a series of food fights sent people, a few people in ambulances and many injuries many students and teachers suffered from several injuries, and principals were not able to bring anyone and no one really took responsibility, and they weren't able to find the culprits. They decided the solution was to install these surveillance cameras. Unfortunately, it's a controversial issue because a lot of people are concerned about privacy issues and also costs. Originally, it was estimated at costing $3 million. More recently, numbers have gone down a bit, and they're saying it would be only about $800,000 total. The other issue is parent support. Some of the principals have come forward saying that they've got PTAs from 17 out of 25 of the district schools supporting the surveillance cameras, and so they've got those schools on their side, or those parents, excuse me, on their side. So we'll find out what happens. Reporting live. This is Mona.
Fairfax County is looking at whether or not they should install cameras throughout their high schools there. The school board is looking at the issue, and we're joined now live by Evan Milberg, who is outside that school board meeting. What's going on out there, Evan?
Alisa, Fairfax County's long-standing opposition to surveillance cameras in schools may come to an end tonight. Although the resolution has a majority support of the county's PTA, not everyone is on board, as many parents fear for their child's privacy. There's another side to the issue, as last spring's wave of food fights also pose a threat to child security. We're expecting a vote later tonight. Alisa?
In Fairfax County, there's talk of putting cameras inside the high schools there. With more on what's going to happen at the school board meeting tonight when they take up the issue, our TC Lumbar is live outside that school board meeting. So what's going on out there, TC?
Well, the Fairfax School Board is under renewed pressure from school administrators and parents to allow surveillance cameras inside schools. Armed with the support of 17 out of 25 high school PTAs, Fairfax principals are requesting a vote on the issue. Principal Abe Jeffers of Lee High School is a leading voice calling for an immediate change to the camera policy. Privacy concerns have led the school board to reject cameras in the past. A rash of food fights last spring led to a number of injuries and spurred this new push for surveillance. Cost estimates for countywide camera deployment range from $885,000 to $3 million. Back to you.
We are following some news out of Fairfax County involving students there and whether or not they should be under video surveillance. Their school board is looking at installing cameras at high schools throughout there. With the very latest, we're joined by our Tristiana Hinton, who is following this. So what's the very latest out there?
Hi, Lisa. Behind me right now, the school board is meeting to decide whether or not they're going to vote to install cameras in Fairfax County high schools. The Fairfax principals have recently asked them to vote on the measure again, but this time they have the support of many of the PTAs in the county. 17 of the 25 PTAs have agreed with the principals that installing these cameras would be the best thing for the high schools at this point in time. Last spring, there was a lot of issues with food fights that caused a lot of injuries to students and teachers, and safety has become a major concern for the schools, and the principals feel that this is the best way to really secure the schools again and be able to keep these things from happening again. Lee High School Principal Abe Jeffers believes that the board should vote now instead of waiting and passing this on to the next school board, which will be elected later. But some of one of the retiring members, Tina Hone, feels that the way that they gathered PTA support was really not just in that, you know, so they are behind me right now deciding whether or not to vote on this issue, and we will be back with you later with more information. Back to you.
In Fairfax County, there's a debate about whether or not they might install cameras in high schools across Fairfax County. For the very latest, we turn to our Alisa Moody, who is outside the school board, which we're anticipating will take up this issue. Alisa, what's going on out there?
Hi, Lisa. Well, it's definitely a tense scene back there. They have a very difficult decision to make tonight. It's kind of controversial because a lot of parents are arguing that the cameras would be an invasion of students' privacy, kind of a Big Brother-ish type atmosphere. And the opposing team of parents and principals across the area have said that the cameras would help the student security because there's been an outbreak of food fights in the area that were violent and chaotic, and sometimes ambulances were called. They were just out of hand. And the culprits for those food fights were never found, so they think that the installation of cameras would really help eliminate these sort of in-school violent outbursts. They're expecting to make the decision tonight. Another kind of controversial factor is the cost. Initially, they said it was going to be about $3 million, and now they're estimating $800,000, a little over that. So we'll see what happens tonight. We'll keep you posted. Back to you.
The issue of surveillance cameras in public schools has been a hot debate. For more, we have Alisa Parenti. Alisa, what's going on?
Well, Evan, we are live outside Fairfax County where the school board is set to take up this issue of cameras in high schools across the county. Whether or not they're going to vote is actually still up for debate, as this is an outgoing school board, but we do know that the principals in a number of high schools across the county are pushing for this initiative. They believe that they've got some additional evidence that supports their cause. In fact, they've talked with members of PTAs across the county. They say that in the majority of these high schools that parents support this idea. They've also recrunched the numbers. Originally, they were talking about a figure of $3 million to put these cameras in place across the high school. Now they say they can do it for less than $1 million. So they're hoping that with those two additional pieces of information that they can hopefully change the minds of the school board and get them to put this in place. There are concerns about privacy, of course, and so there's those who oppose it. Reporting live in Fairfax County, Alisa Parenti, ABC 7 News. Back to you.